نادي عليا مظهر العجائب.
Okay, I'm really happy to see all of you. I think, shall we get started with the book club? Should we go straight ahead, guys?
Yeah.
Let's do it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا مولانا حبيب الله العالمين أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone, to all the members of this Nahjal Balagha book club. By the way, this is the 5th session, so this is literally halfway. We've done 4 sessions before. Today's our 5th, and we will have 5 more after that, and we're halfway. So I'm so grateful to all of you for helping me to get to this point, for all of your amazing contributions, and I'm very grateful that we've reached this halfway point. And it is only fitting that we reach this halfway point, in which I know Abdullah, I don't want it to end either. I was going to say it's fitting in that maybe we today, inshallah, we can have a great discussion to mark how lucky we are to have this space, and inshallah, how lucky I am, definitely. And I don't want it to end either, Abdullah. What I'm thinking is, if this book club goes well, and if by the time we finish we're all interested in learning more about Nahjal Balagha, maybe we can do it again. But I'm not sure when. I'm not sure what platform. I don't know yet. But if I have the ability, and if Majlis Ulema are willing, I would love to do more Nahjal Balagha book club, probably after Muharram, because things get pretty busy, and this course ends in 5 weeks, just before Muharram begins. And obviously all of us are going to be busy with Majlis as it's coming. In any case, and thank you so much, guys, for sticking with the book club and for this long, inshallah. Let me take the imaginary register. And the imaginary register is one where I pretend like I had prepared the register, but really I'm just looking at names on Zoom. So let me go through the names, inshallah. Firstly, do we have Sister Amina? Amina, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you keeping, Amina?
I'm doing really good, thanks. And you?
Alhamdulillah, that's great. I'm well too. Thank you so much for asking. I had hay fever earlier, but I'm okay now. So thank you for asking. But alhamdulillah, I'm good. Great to have you here, Amina, as always, inshallah. Abdullah, assalamu alaikum. Abdullah?
Wa alaikum salam. I just had the chat out, so it wasn't unmuting.
I was so worried that we'd lost you, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I had like a bit of like a cold on Saturday, but I'm much better now. And today, what happened in our school, someone had on the lateral flow test they had a positive. So I actually came we actually all came home early, and if we might have to self-isolate if the actual one's positive.
That is such a pain. I hope, is that person okay though? Are they all right?
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, we'll go back to the like Teams lessons online.
Oh gosh. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Inshallah, everything pans out for the best. But you take care of your health, okay, Abdullah?
Yeah.
Very good. Asad, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Asad, already you've done great work while doing your English homework while in this book club. I'm glad you can multitask. Have you finished that? Have you written everything down?
Oh, yep, I wrote down what you told me.
Great.
Just told me.
Good work. Alhamdulillah. Glad to have you here in the book club, Asad. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ashal, assalamu alaikum again.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm good. You seem like you're in a really good mood. Did something happen recently that your voice seems so happy?
So basically, in school today, I just got news that I got full results in my for my marks to predict what I get into the next year.
Your predicted grades?
So I'll be in a high set, and I'm happy because my mum happy, my dad and my family, which is for the best of me in the future.
Alhamdulillah, that's amazing news. Well done, Ashal. Well done. All your hard work. That's what that is, isn't it? And your du'as.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really happy. And inshallah, if I get to meet you soon, I'll be very grateful. In Bradford. But well done, mate. Well done, and keep it up, inshallah.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a great win. I was just half guessing you're in a good mood. I can't see you. I thought you were in a good mood for other reasons, but I'm glad I found something while fishing. Super. Fazil, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you doing? Fazil?
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yes,
I
hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I never knew your surname was Marufi. That's so interesting. Where
Because
do you
my grandfather is a Maulana.
Yeah, I know him. He's so cool.
Yeah, I know him as well.
Yeah, he's come to Idara before, hasn't he? Maulana Marufi. He's such a
Yes,
legend.
yes.
He's such a legend.
So my grandfather is the Maulana.
So hold on a second. So is your uncle Kazim?
Yes. No, my father is.
Kazim's your father?
Yes.
I did not. Please send my salams to him. Please, please, please.
Okay.
Tell him salam alaikum from Abbas for sure. And I'm doing dua for him because I am. I really want the best for him. So please send him my salams.
I have a question. In the Zainabiyya Center, that the Malana normally recites there, his name is also Ma'rufi. It's Malana Kazim Ma'rufi.
That's him. That's Fazil's father.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's nice.
It's super cool. Fazil, now you have to say salam from me and from Abdullah and from the whole book club, okay?
Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Well, it's great to have you in the book club, and thank you again for identifying yourself in a more complete manner.
And on Friday, I went on a boat trip, and that was like a whole day boat trip till 3:30, from 9:30 to 3:30, and I had lots of fun. I started learning about boats, and also I learned what the thing is called, what all the parts of the boat are called. Like the taller is the heads, because in the it's traditional to call the toilets heads.
Mhm.
I forgot why it's called heads, but yes. So I've also learned the galley.
Wow.
The what was it? Shaoli something? I forgot. Yeah, so I learned lots of parts of I think maybe on Thursday or Friday I did that boat trip.
That is amazing. Well, I actually, in one of my jobs, I need to go on a boat at some point, either in at Dover, at the edge of the UK, or in the Mediterranean on the between North Africa and Italy, on boats which they save migrants and they rescue people who are on little boats trying to travel. And one of the reasons why I couldn't go yet is because I've not got as much experience on boats as I need to feel comfortable to do my job, but I can just do it easily. So maybe later on, if you ever buy a boat, you can give me a job on your crew. Can that work?
Okay, and I did that on the Thames River.
On the Thames River. Abdullah, that's not on the Horn of Africa. The Horn of Africa is on the east on the east coast. I'm talking about the North Africa, which is where you have like Egypt and Tunisia and Algeria and Libya, where a lot of people
Is
are
it where
coming.
the Mediterranean Sea is?
Exactly. So there's some boats which are on the Mediterranean in that bit of water, and then when there are people who are trying to cross to go from one piece of land to the other, they have very small boats and very poor, and they start drowning. So some of the boats go and rescue them and bring them to safety. So I work for a few. I work for a few boat companies like that, a few missions, but I've not been on a mission yet. And I think if I get more experience, I'll go on more missions.
This is my second time going on a boat.
Really? Well, like I said, if you come across a boat, you must tell me, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much. Khadija, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How do you do?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I just mentioned you earlier today. I bumped into Kazim Bhai. Today was actually a funeral. It wasn't a funeral. It was a death anniversary of a very close friend of mine who died 7 years ago today. And he was one of my boys, in my group. And Kazim
Was he one
was
of the
him.
Maulanas?
He was not a Maulana. He was his name was also Abdullah, like your name, and he was a friend of ours. And unfortunately he died 7 years ago, very suddenly and very unexpected. So every year, we the friends, we come together, and on this day we go to the graveyard, to his grave, and we think about him, we talk about him, and we meet. And Kazim was there because Kazim knows him, and we mentioned the book club, and we mentioned you, Khadija. So, well, all of you, but that's why I remembered you so very suddenly just now. So guys, by the way, because I might be a little bit down today, you can lift my spirits, okay? Can you guys do that for me today?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. But Khadija, it was great that you're here, inshallah. Are you keeping well, by the way? Are you healthy? Everything's okay?
Yeah, I've gone on not 2 weeks, but 1 week boat trips with my
Oh.
family.
Wow, you guys are great. You guys are great. This is a maritime bonanza. Is that even a real word? I don't know. But this is great. This is great. I've been on boats too. I've been on fishing and things, but I've never been like in a big boat in the crew. But you guys have good experience,
I
mashallah.
don't think it was a crew. I think it was just like just for the family, just a little boat.
In order to lift your spirits, eat a Mars bar. Great idea, Abdullah. There was a Mars bar here somewhere. If any of you are on a sugar diet or anything, I do not, tell you to break your diet. But I had a Snickers, but it's gone now. But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you for the suggestion. Masma Abbas, Assalamu alaikum, Masma.
Assalamualaikum.
How are you doing? You okay?
I have a cough and a cold, so I keep coughing and sneezing, and my eyes keep streaming.
Masuma, how did this happen? Were you not wrapping up warm, or it just happened like that?
I don't know. It just happened, and I didn't go to school today,
Oh,
and I did test negative for COVID, so that's good. But my voice is very droopy and everything, and my eyes start streaming at random moments, and my throat feels really weird, and I have to breathe with my mouth always because my nose is blocked.
She was coughing quite a lot yesterday, actually.
Yep, a lot.
how do you know? I said.
Oh, I'm her brother.
He's my brother. Remember?
Yeah, don't you know?
I told you when we met in the thingamabob.
I must have forgotten. Masma Asad are brother and sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got different surnames.
Well, congratulations, guys.
What's congratulations for?
I'm so happy that you have each other. Maybe I knew, but I forgot. That's great. Oh, actually, I saw a message from one of your parents or someone saying, Asad and Masma would both attend. And I was thinking, how do you know if they're both going to attend? Now I realize it must have been one of your parents. Oh my God. We are learning so much from this class, aren't we? Well, that's great. Amazing, Masma. Well, but take care of your health. We are praying for you. Remember what we looked at a few weeks ago in the book club, if you weren't here? We looked at a hadith about being ill, where it's a good chance to pray to Allah because your du'as can be accepted more. So even though your eyes are streaming, think good thoughts, inshallah. Maybe some of, this will help you in your relationship to God, because when you recover, you can say alhamdulillah, inshallah. Okay, Masma?
Yep, thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. And thank you for attending the book club. If you feel like chatting, writing instead of talking, no problem at all. But great to have you here. Azan, Ali, Assalamu alaikum, Azan.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Azan, how do you do? Are you well, young man?
Yeah. Yes.
Everything is cool with you?
Yes.
Oh. No issues. Everything's fine. You are taking care of all of the dragons and problems and worries?
Yes, sir.
Well, you are my inspiration. Keep up, Azan. We are rooting for you, inshallah. Shazaib, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Shazaib, what's good, bro? You keeping well?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right, thank you. Asad writing, can you restart Zoom? No problem. Asad, no worries at all. But Shazaib, everything's calm. Your studies are going okay. You're keeping healthy and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Nice one, bro. Well, it's great for having you here. Thank you so much for coming back to the book club. And then we have Wasi. Wasi, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wasi, Masma's writing, I keep freezing. Am I freezing while I'm talking to you?
No, it's perfectly fine.
Well, Masma, now that I know I'm freezing for you, and my screen's freezing, and Asad says he needs to restart Zoom, I can now say it's a problem in your internet and not mine. I have two pieces of evidence to back my claim up, you and Asad separately. So inshallah, you can restart Zoom too, or you can even sit together. I don't mind. But Wasi, just to check in with you, are you keeping well? Is your father well? Is your family okay?
Yeah, my family's great.
Alhamdulillah. Every time I kind of pass through the South London region, I look for where all the boys are and everyone. So maybe I'll spot you one day. I don't know. Where do you hang out these days after school? Are you going home straight after school, or are you hanging out in any street corners anywhere?
Nah, just sitting at home.
Straight home, yeah?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. What did Asad just write? I can't see it. What did he say? Oh, Abdullah says, actually, you might make a good lawyer attorney. Well, Abdullah, my job is a lawyer. That's what I do. But thank you for recognizing this. Okay, guys. Great to see that everyone is well. I'm really happy, alhamdulillah, that you guys are keeping healthy. And I'm really happy and encouraged by how you are encouraging each other for different goals that you have. Earlier in the call, someone had homework, another person helped them with that. I mean, some of you are related. It's a miracle. And some of you, I'm learning more and more about you, and you're learning about me. And I'm really grateful to share this space with you. So alhamdulillah, halfway through, we're killing it, guys. Now to Nahjal Balagha. Okay. A nice lengthy introduction. There was a mission last week, which I set for all of you to go and think about something, which I'm going to come to. And I would love to ask if any of you have any points to add. Now, what the mission was related to angels, because in Nahjal Balagha, Imam Ali alayhi salam speaks about angels, what they're like, how they behave, how they were created. I'll go through what he says. But angels are a really important part of our belief. We have to admit that they are haqq, that they are real. It's part of our iman. We have to believe in angels. And Allah created them for a very specific purpose and multiple reasons, actually. And they help us in different ways, and they are lessons for us. So what I would like to do is piece together any bits of either hadith or information or research or information that you have learned about what angels are. Let's bring it together very quickly, summarize what is right and wrong. Any questions about angels, you can ask them, and I'm happy to answer. And once that's done, and we know what the angels are like and what we know about them, I can go through what Nahjal Balagha says about them. So can you please raise your hand in the group if you have a piece of information about angels which you have found out in your mission for this week? So I see Abdullah, I see Khadija, I see Amna, I see Ashal. Great work, guys. If anyone else and Fazil, mashallah, if anyone else has done some research on angels, or you found at least one fact out, or you already know something about angels, even without research, if you just know something, please put your hand up and I'll know that you wish to contribute. And Masma as well. Amazing work. Okay, Abdullah, your hand was up immediately. So I'd love to ask you first. What have you found out about angels for us?
I found out a couple of things. So one, in an example, there's one angel that will blow the horn, and every before a Qiyamah, and then we're all gonna be sent. And also Angel Jarail was a very good angel, and he transferred a lot of information to like imams and prophets. Also angels also if you like recite Ayatul Kursi before you go to bed, angels will be above your head, and they won't let any sin come to your like head when you're sleeping.
Alhamdulillah. So what Abdullah has very brilliantly done is given us some functions of the angels. So blowing the trumpet at the end of times, an angel will do that. Helping Ahl al-Bayt and the Prophet, as you said, angels. And protecting us if we read certain dua which are designed for our protection, an angel can protect you. These are very good functions. By function, I mean things that they do, which is amazing. Is there anyone else who has any points which are linked to those points, or which are the same, which you'd like to repeat about what Abdullah just said? If not, that's fine. Keep your hand up if you have something else to contribute in general. Khadija, I did see your hand up. What about you? What piece of information have you learned about angels you'd like to bring back to this group?
So I found out that angels bring wind and rain to the earth, and that is said in Al-Hijr in the Quran, the surah, and then Al-Ra'ad, it means that for each person there are angels following them and before him, and like before them and behind them, and they guard the person by the command of Allah.
Amazing. So if Allah sends angels, sometimes he sends them to do these general big things like sending the winds or blowing the trumpet. And sometimes they are for individual things like watching over every person. So if they're in front, behind, on either side, it means they're watching you. So Allah is thinking about this entire system, and angels are somehow important to his plan and the way that he wishes to act. So thank you, Khadija, for adding even more examples to our picture of what angels are like. So clearly they're very, very busy beings. Super.
Can
Go ahead, Abdullah. Yeah, quick
can I
one.
just,
'Cause there's other people also have it. Like, what is your favorite addition to that point?
I really like that angel will be like behind you or like everywhere to protect you. On there, isn't there an angel on your right and left shoulder to mark down your good and bad deeds, like for whatever you do?
We have narrations just like that. That there are two angels, one on your left and one of your right shoulders. I don't know if like, you know, they're not physical, so you can't touch them. But the belief is that they are beings which are writing down, and they're as close to you as your shoulders. So they are writing down wherever you are looking, what you are saying, the actions that you do. They write it. So yeah, we do have that, definitely. Great. Fazil, I see your hand raised. What would you like to add about angels?
I didn't really have anything to add. I was just going to be doing my own thing next.
Oh, was it not related to this point about angels?
No, I just wanted to. I thought you were asking me because.
Oh no, that's fine. No worries. Because I saw the hand raised. No problem at all. Ashal, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Ashal, I see your hand raised. Amina, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, thank goodness. I was so worried about the Wi-Fi. Amina, what would you like to add about angels?
So in the Quran, it says, "Praise be to Allah who created the heavens and the earth, who made the angels, who are messengers with wings." And so the angels act as messengers to the holy prophets. And it shows how great of an importance they have if they're able to be listed in the same sentence as the great heavens and earth that Allah's created. So angels must have a really so as we've discussed, their important roles, so they must have high significance to Allah.
And this is a new role which you've mentioned, by the way, which is that they send messages. We didn't look at that before. So when Allah wishes to communicate something to a prophet, even like the Holy Prophet or any of the other prophets, sometimes he uses angels to transport his words to the prophet on earth, which is a really great way of looking at it. In fact, one of our scholars says that the word of Allah, think of it like a sound. It's like a sound. It's non-material, and it's sometimes musical in terms of it's like a nice sound. I don't mean music in the sense of this earth, but it's a very lovely, rhythmic, beautiful noise. And the angels are able to hear it because they are also non-physical beings. So the highest angel closest to Allah in terms of rank can hear this song, this sound. And they can then sing this song to another being, to another being, to another being. And then they can come down to, for example, the Holy Prophet and sing and whisper to him and say to him, for example, Iqra, read. And they can whisper this noise to him. And then when he says it, then someone can hear it and write it down. But they are just transporting this sound from level to level to level until it goes to a prophet. Now, that might be our prophet. In some cases, they appear as beings on this earth and they look like normal people walking around, only because Allah has given them a certain message to tell a prophet and he wants them to exist in a certain form. Maybe some of you know some stories of prophets in which they have interacted with angels who were actually in human form just so Allah could give them a special message. We have examples like this.
I think it was like with Prophet Lut and Prophet Shuaib this happened.
Great examples. So Prophet Lut, for example, do you know the story, Fazil?
I don't remember the story, but yes,
So
I was reading something.
Yeah, so in that story, Prophet Lut, there were people who were doing abducting and kidnapping people in the town and doing evil deeds with them. And so Allah sent angels in the form of these beautiful, amazing, lovely people. And the people of Lut wanted to take them. But Prophet Lut tried to save them, to say that, no, you are under my protection and I will give you safety in my home. And just that was an example to the people that, and then they spoke to him and said, by the way, we are sent by Allah. We're here to tell you, Ya Lut, there's going to be a big catastrophe here in this land. Leave and escape with the people. But they were sent as beautiful forms just because it was a message. And it does happen. It does happen. I see your hand raised. Maybe it was from before, Fazil. Is there anyone else who wanted to add anything, or including you, Fazil, if you have anything about angels which you have learnt in addition to the functions they do? They send message. They're created by Allah. They control the wind. Sometimes they blow the trumpet, and they are with people on your left, right shoulder, front and behind, recording your deeds. Any other points about angels?
As in, what I have to say.
If you have found any other piece of information which you'd like to share to the group, if not, that's fine. But have you got anything that you'd like to add?
No, I don't really have anything else to add.
That's fine. Let me now turn to Nahjal Balagha. And it's in the first sermon, which is the one we keep looking at, where the Imam Ali alayhi salam describes angels. Now, the reason why Imam Ali alayhi salam can describe angels with such wisdom and such specific detail is because his knowledge is so vast that he is aware of the affairs of the heavens and the earth. In fact, many times he'd say, ask me about what's happening in the skies as well as what's happening in the earth, because I know what's happening. So, for example, he says that after Allah created, you guys remember when we said Allah created how He created the whole world with the wind and the water and the foam which came, and He created the levels of the earth from there, if you guys recall. After he says, then Allah created openings between the levels of the high skies. And in these openings, He filled them by creating angels. Now, angels, just so you know, are created out of light, out of nur. They don't have physical hands in their real form. They exist like light exists. But Imam says, some of these angels are in ruku'. You know ruku' when you're praying, and they do not kneel up. Others are in the kneeling position. So when you're praying and you're sitting down and you are kneeling towards God in your namaz, in your salat, it says some angels are in that position and they never stand up. Some of them are in sajda. They're prostrating down to Allah in their form, and they do not rise up from their position ever. Others are praising Allah and they never get tired. They do not have sleep of the eyes or get distracted. They don't have tiredness of the body or forgetfulness. Some of those angels, Allah has given them a trusted message, and they are the bearers of that message. They speak as tongues for the Prophet, so they can carry to and fro the orders of Allah to the prophets. And among them are some angels who protect the creatures, and they guard the doors of the gardens of paradise. So they stand at the doors of Jannah and they guard it. And among the other angels, there are some whose steps are fixed on the earth, but their necks are protruding all the way up to the skies. Their limbs are going on all sides around them. Their shoulders are in accord with the divine throne of Allah. Their eyes are looking down at the creation of God, and they have spread their wings over everything underneath them, so that they have become like curtains of honor and screens of power. It's a very beautiful description. These angels, which Imam is describing, says they do not think of their creator like an image, meaning they don't think they know everything about Allah, because we can't know Allah. Neither do they pretend to give Him attributes He doesn't have, so they don't have any wrong ideas about Allah. They don't try and limit Him in their mind, and neither do they try and point at Him and look for Him around them in physical form, because Allah does not have a physical body, which means these angels, by these we mean all the angels, they know Allah and they gain knowledge of Allah, and their whole priority is to serve Allah based on what role they have been given. If their role is you pray from this angle, they don't move. If their role is you give the message from me to this prophet, that's what they do. If you've always been given to watch over this area of the earth with your wings spread open, and by wings, we don't believe angels have just two wings. We believe they have many, 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 many wings. And these wings don't look like wings you see in pictures of angels, but they are wings of light, which we can't see with our eyes, but we imagine to be intensely beautiful. And that's their job, that's their function. And every angel is there as a proof of Allah, that Allah is so great, He creates beings to help Him in His plan. For example, the plan to guide us, He has angel Jibra'il to help us. In the plan to give us life and death, the angel Israel is the one who takes those lives. Or who blows the trumpet, for example. The angel Mikael, who has his task. The angel Israfil, is the one who takes the lives and blows the trumpet. All of these different angels have their own function, and they're loyal to God. Okay, that's what Imam says in Nahjal Balagha. I'll explain one thing about angels just so you know. Angels don't have in them a desire to disobey Allah. You know how sometimes people can want to do real good and bad? Angels aren't like that. So when they praise Allah, they can definitely increase in their knowledge and become more and more beautiful and more light. Like they have levels of greatness. Look at Jibreel, look at how great he is. But what they don't necessarily have is the ability or the wish to go against Allah. Some people might give you examples of when this has happened, but in general, angels don't go against Allah. It's not what they do. Okay. But like I mentioned, you might hear some opinions that an angel can go against God. That's because some people believe that. But in general, they don't. And this is a lesson for all of us because an angel can't disobey God, but worships God. Me and you can disobey God. So when we worship God, it's so much more important because we didn't have to. We could have gone against Allah. We have that free will, but also desires always telling us and pulling us in different directions. That's why they say the human being can become greater than angels or worse than animals. We can become greater than angels because if I'm praying and an angel's praying, an angel doesn't want to do anything else. I might have in me a wish to do something else, but I've fought against that feeling and still gone back to God. That makes me greater because greater in the sense that I have overcome an internal challenge to reach Allah. And angels don't have those internal challenges. But a human being can be worse than an animal. Why do you guys think a human being can be worse than an animal? If you have an idea, you can unmute or raise your hand. Why do you think that?
He can be worse than an animal because he can, like as you said, can have the desire, and if he does something good, an angel is set to do that thing and physically cannot do anything else or wrong. We have the free will, so if we do it, and if we do a good thing, it's so much more important than what the angel is doing, and then it's vice versa for the other thing. So if we do something horrible, it's gonna be valued much worse than anything because we have something like a desire. And also, I had a point to make. When you said angels are some are doing ruku and some are doing like sajda. In there on Miraj, and the Prophet was going up to the heavens, he saw like an angel with like a big white tablet which like shone like really brightly.
Wow.
And then it said like I have done like ruku for like this many like thousands of years. And then Prophet said if you do salawat, it automatically has more sawab than for all of the thousands of years you've done it for.
Wow, that's how amazing a salawat is. You're saying that it's greater than what's great as all that reward. The reason why is because when that angel spoke to the Prophet and says, I've been doing ruku for all these years, the Prophet says, but now you have stopped your ruku and you have looked towards me. So you've stopped your worship. And the alien replied that by looking at your face, Ya Muhammad, even this is worship because you are the Prophet of God. So when I go back to my ruku, I've not stopped in worship because I'm looking at the Prophet of God. And that's when he said that beautiful line that you mentioned, that the salawat is of that important, that is of that greatness of all these years of ruku of an angel. But here's why, Abdullah, because we can choose not to say salawat. We can choose to say with our tongue even evil and foul things. But because we choose salawat, and an angel didn't want to say those foul things, they wanted to just pray to God. Because we could have not done it, but we still did it. Our freedom makes us greater. But, even an animal is free. But an animal does not use its freedom to commit evil against God because it has no rationality. Rationality, by rationality, I mean reason in a more complete sense, where you think about what does Allah want from me? What should I do? Animals can't think quite like that. They do think and are very intelligent, but they don't think about what's my niyyah, what's my intention, how to do this amal like me and you can think. But that means that if we have this reason which can help us and we don't listen to it, then we're worse than animals, because we're doing just the same as animals, but we didn't have to. We could have been greater, but we chose to become low. Is anyone who raised their hand wanting to comment on how we can be worse than animals?
Also, at the end of the class, I wrote a question in the chat. So at the end of the class, may you please answer that if you can?
Let me see. You wrote it. Yeah, I'll come to that. I'll definitely come to that, inshallah. Thank you for reminding me. Because I didn't see, because now I've seen that Masma wrote something about angels. Both animals and humans have the free will, and either of the two can do something of the same level. Say if a human kills an innocent elephant, then the human's worse. But an elephant kills an innocent human, the elephant would be worse, on purpose, of course. Well, here's the thing, Masma. If an elephant does something like killing a human being, right? And let's assume it was like, elephants don't have, guns hidden beneath their trunks. They're ready to shoot. It might have been that they bumped into them, or they threw them around, or they got scared by them, because they're animals. They're not thinking things through. But if I kill an elephant, I'll have to have a plan. I'll have to have thought about how I'm going to do it. Maybe it was an accident if I'm driving my truck really fast. But if not, and if I've thought about it, then what I have done is much worse than what the elephant has done. This is, by the way, we're saying there's no extra reason. For example, the elephant wasn't going to kill me and I'm defending myself. No, just in general. If I go and have, for no reason, I kill an elephant, and if an elephant for no reason kills me, I'm worse, because I have the ability to choose and rationally decide this is the wrong thing to do. I shouldn't do it. I'm not going to do it. I have that reason. But an elephant is just an animal acting on instinct, doing what it thinks it will help its survival. So like Abdullah's writing, has no rationality, so it would not have a niyyah. And because we have it, we would be worse, because we intend to do bad. We want to do bad. So that's why we can be worse than animals, because we can want to be low. We can want to do bad things. But an animal doesn't want to disobey or do wrong things. An animal just does what its instinct tells it. So even if the action looks the same, we have the potential to think our way out of being bad. Animals just do what they do. So even when an animal accidentally hurts someone or kills a human being, we don't say the animal is evil or is bad. We say that's in its nature. That's how it is. But it's not in my nature to hurt animals. I've been created very differently. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean, Masma. Animals are very similar to human beings because they're so smart and they have such potential. But what they don't have is that complex reason that we have. Okay. No worries. I see Abdullah, Fazil and Khatija, because Abdullah just spoke. Did you guys want to make a point, or is your hand raised from before?
I want to make up a point.
Go ahead, Fazil.
So it's like, if you can be even worse than animals, like if an animal doesn't do something, like an animal will not break a house on purpose, and then a human goes and breaks a house. An animal does not do that, so you can even go even worse than an animal. It just go break a house of like a crazy person. An animal, when it goes crazy, doesn't go break a house.
Exactly. And even if an animal was to break something, it didn't think, I don't like that wall, I don't like that color, I've decided I'm going to hurt this person, it's going to hurt your feelings. They don't think everything through. Maybe they just act and they just do. Whereas if I break a wall, I wanted to break it usually. Like, I'm not just going to walk into a wall and break it. I'm not the Hulk, although I am a superhero. I'm not just going to break it like that. I have to think it through. And it's that thinking that makes something good or bad, when we know we're doing something right or wrong. And thinking makes us better than angels because we chose to do a good deed when we could have not have. But thinking also makes us worse than animals when we choose to do a bad deed when you could have chosen not to. Right? I think that point's understood. Khatija, were you going to add anything because your hand is raised, or was that raised from before?
I was going to ask a question.
Go ahead.
So you said that, angels don't go against Allah and they do everything they're supposed to do and don't do anything bad. But didn't Shaitan go against Allah?
Did what, sorry?
But didn't Shaitan go against Allah?
Well, Shaitan, Iblis, was a jinn, according to the majority of scholars. And jinn is a different being to angels. Yeah. So a jinn is very similar to a human being in that they are not made of light, they're made of fire. But a jinn can do good and bad just like us. It has reason just like us. So Shaitan could have chosen to worship God or could have not chosen to worship God. So that's why it's different. He is an angel. He is a jinn. Some people think that he might be an angel because they've looked at history and they've thought, so if he's hanging out with all the angels and they're all praying to Allah and he's praying to Allah, maybe he's an angel. And if he's the teacher of the angels, he's an angel. So they're thinking maybe he's an angel. Some scholars did believe this, but the majority of ulama today think that because Shaitan was a jinn, he had free will and he had desires, and he chose to follow his desire instead of following his reason for good. Masima, were you going to add anything to that?
I just had a question about like the way angels, like, does it specify? Because people always assume that angels have halos and wings. Do they actually do have them?
In our in our hadith, we don't say the angels have halos. That's a Christian idea. But we do say the angels have wings. Now, not wings which are made of feathers, like we see in like in church pictures and in Bible stories. It's not like that. We believe they're made of pure light, and the wings are part of their majesty, part of their brilliance. They might look like wings, like in that sense. They might not. We don't know what they look like, maybe until you see them, I guess. But our image of aliens is light. Angels, not aliens. Our image of angels is light, not people with wings. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No worries. It's a really hard thing to imagine because they are a hard being to imagine because they are created in a very different way to us. We're made of earth, of clay, like we're physical. I'm physical, you're physical. And Allah breathed life into us. Whereas an angel was made entirely of non-material, non-physical light, like you see coming out of the sky. Now, how do you draw light? You might draw a color, you might draw the source of light, but the light itself is so hard to describe. And that's what angels are made from. Allah crafted them from light. Father said, was there a jinn that followed Prophet Sulaiman? Prophet Sulaiman did have jinns in his army. The army that he had, Fazil, in the army there was jinns and human beings, and maybe even animals. Yeah, okay. Now, before we move on, just to make that point that we can all be greater than angels or we can be worse than animals, remember this and think about this, inshallah. Okay, there was a question, but I'm going to come to that question during our journeying through the sayings of Nahjal Balagha. We've got 5 more sayings. You guys ready to dive straight into them?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, let's go into the 5 sayings I would love to discuss with all of you today. And inshallah, at the end of the 5, after we're done, we will look at, well, I'll give you a new mission for next week. All right, let me now share my screen. And we are now on to a journey into the saying of Nahjal Balagha, week 5. Here we go. Ready? I can't hear you guys.
Ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. First saying of Nahjal Balagha. Can it be good to say, I don't know? What do we think?
I am conflicted as soon as I see the question because I think, like, I don't know. We have the rationality to go and research, and because we live in the age of intelligence, we might have the capability of learning this topic. But if this topic is very vague and not thoroughly described, that might be an like a feasible, reasonable saying, like I don't know. But like if you just like get like asked like a question that you might know, but like you haven't researched, but you could have, maybe not, maybe it's just better to keep quiet because the last time or maybe another book club, we said it said if don't talk more if it's unnecessary. So like talk less and be like not stuttery and like not unnecessary.
Well, it was not about stuttering because we all stutter, but it was definitely unnecessary. When if you can say what you need to in a few words, only speak in a few words. But here's the best part of what you just said. I asked, can it be good to say I don't know? And you in a very good point started by saying I don't know. So clearly, if you're not sure, it's good to just admit that I don't know. Now here are the reasons why I don't know. Here's why something's confusing. Here are two sides of an argument. But here's why I don't know which one's right, because I can't tell which one is right. And that approach is really positive. I said, I see your hand raised. Why do you think it can be good to say I don't know?
No, actually, you can't say that I don't know, because while you're alive, you have plenty of information to research. You have plenty of time to research. So the time you're playing games and stuff like that, you can be researching more about Islam. So if you go and if Allah asks you about why you did something, you can't say I don't know, because you had the potential when you were alive to research why something is halal or haram. So yeah.
Very interesting contribution. I would like now to throw it to your sister Masuma. Masuma, what do you think? Can it be good to say I don't know? Do you agree with Asad?
Well, I'm sort of in the middle because I'm sort of leaning towards, because it's just the point that yeah, sure, you can go and research, but what if you don't have the time to? Like you're like constantly doing something and busy, and you literally have no time, and then you just don't know something, and you say I don't know. So that kind of is in a way that that's that's the right way. Like it's okay to say I know, but if you're sort of like lying and somebody just like, you may think that maybe you're saying it for their own. Like what do you think that this person was doing? You say I don't know, who's for for their own. Do you think they might be saying it for their own good? Like if there's something horrible that's happening, they say I don't know what's happening, then it will come as more of a shock to them.
Yeah.
When
So
they
for
actually
sure,
find
yeah.
out.
Yeah,
This is the
so
middle.
definitely we don't like the idea that you don't know when you can know something. You can literally just find out. And if Allah asks you and you can say I don't know, that's not an excuse. So I get where you guys are coming from. It is helpful to understand. Amina, what would you like to add to this? Can it be good to say I don't know in your opinion?
I think it can be good. I think it shows that I think you shouldn't try to act like you know more than you do. So it kind of
That's a
shows
good
that you're
point.
humble and you're honest, and that you're willing to even admit that you don't know everything and you want to continue learning more. So although you could say that, saying I don't know, you could just research, but I still think you should act humble.
That is a good point, because if you genuinely don't know, what do you say? Do you pretend? Do you just make something up, or do you just say, listen, I don't know? Maybe it's what happens next. I don't know, but I will find out. Or I don't know, but I should know. I don't know, but I didn't find out when I should have. But you're right, Amna. You should start with the truth. Go
I
ahead.
have
Oh,
some.
Abdullah, 1 second. I want Fazil because his hand was raised, and then I'll come back to you later, okay? Fazil, because I saw
Okay.
your hand raised. What do you think about this?
I don't really think always you can say I don't know. Like if you're in an army, you are like this. You're guarding the coast or whatever it is. You're guarding,
Mm.
and
So
then
you have to know.
and there's someone who breaks through, and then he saw you. You should have seen him back. And then the king asks you, "Did anyone enter the castle?" And you're like, "I don't know." So it's not all. So you can't always say I don't know.
I hear you, because sometimes it's your job to know.
Yes, like in the army example that I told you.
Right. So the statement is, can it be good to say I don't know? Not always. So sometimes it is not good to say I don't know. For example, if you do know something and you're supposed to report it to help someone, you can't say I don't know. That's the time to share. But like Amina mentioned before, what about if you don't know and you're not supposed to know, you just don't know something? That might be a helpful thing to add to it. Khatija, was your hand raised? Did you want to add anything?
Yes, I agree with both Amina and Asad that as well as the fact that you should be researching when you can, there's still the side that you should be honest and you shouldn't be lying, that even though I'm not sure about this, I would just say that I know it in case someone is rude to me. You should always be honest regardless of what someone else might think, because it's in the long run, when on the day of judgment, Allah's going to prefer it if you say I don't know rather than I do know and you lying to someone.
Yeah, so none of us like the idea that you lie instead of saying I don't know. So in that circumstance, admitting the truth does seem preferable. We began this with Abdullah raising the pros and cons of each of them. Abdullah, while listening to make our last point before moving on, have you been leaned towards one more than the other by everyone's points?
I wanted to say something because I had like I disagreed with Masuma's point, because then she said like we have no time. When you are a child and you're younger, and this age again, it's the age of like intelligence, and like back then, like a long time ago, it was the age of ignorance when most people weren't as developed and not as like good and as understanding as we are today. So like when you're younger, you don't have to be forced to do you know, like in school, like you don't have to, like if you were finding it too challenging, maybe sometimes you don't have to do more work, and then you have some more free time, or you get to not do some homework. And like Asad said, like you live for like around like almost 80 years, you're going to at least have some time during your early days and later on, because when you grow older, you don't have like a job, or you don't do as much as when you were younger. So that might mean that it's actually not that good to say I don't know with that excuse. That's just what I wanted to make clear.
Interesting. I get your point. I get your point, Masma, because that was something that you raised earlier. Does that add to your understanding about what about this idea of I don't know? Does it make sense to you, or is there anything that you wanted to add to that or respond to that?
Yeah, that actually just sort of, like, you know, makes it like I don't know how to explain it. I just, well, I
And
mean,
it's fine to admit that I don't know how to explain it. But the point you made about time is what is what Abdullah's talking about. That you do have time at the moment. That's a good point, right?
yep, I just, you know, and but I think that there is some kind of like justified way of saying I don't know that, I don't know about that.
Sometimes it can be, and that is what we're asking. Is there sometimes? And Imam Ali's answer is yes, there is sometimes. He says whoever abandons saying I don't know will meet their destruction. I mean, they'll meet their own destruction if you don't say I don't know. If you abandon it completely. What this means is be ready to say I don't know if you don't know. It doesn't mean that say it all the time, but it means that if you genuinely don't know, don't abandon those three words. Say them. I don't know. Later, like Asad mentioned, you can study it, you can research, you can find it out. Or like Fatih was saying, maybe it's your job to know something. So you can find out if you've not done what you should do. But you have to start by accepting the truth, as Amina was also saying. And the truth is, I don't know. So if you abandon it completely, you'll be destroyed because you'll be in such great trouble in saying things other than that I don't know. Because there are things that you might ask me about Islam that I don't know, right? So I'll give you an example. There was a question put earlier about a verse of Surah Rahman which mentions the phrase Wajh Allah, the face of Allah. Abdullah, this is your question, right?
For I didn't hear you.
Was it you who wrote in the chat about this verse about the face of Allah in its glory?
I wrote like in Surah Rahman in the Quran, ayah 27, like after like the world gets wiped up, then it says like all the earth gets wiped up. Then it says there will remain the face of your Lord in its glory and honor.
Yeah.
So that means like will it actually be like figurative or actually literal?
So here, thank you for here's my answer. Thank you for the question. We don't believe that Allah has a physical face like me and you. So when everything else is destroyed, there's not going to be like a face left, which is the face of God, because Allah has no body. And you can only have a face if you have a body, right? Or a physical form. And Allah does not have that kind of form. Some scholars think Wajhullah, face of Allah, means the image of Allah. And by that, it means the people who have allowed themselves to become signs of God and are beautiful for the sake of God. And just like a face can smile or frown to express its emotion, some people, they make their happiness the happiness of God, and their sadness the sadness of God. And they act and try to express themselves according to what Allah wants from them. So that's why one of the titles of Imam Ali alayhi salam is that he is Wajhullah. Other scholars, other ulama believe that Wajhullah, that all things perish except Wajhullah, means not just the Imams, but anyone who follows and has become close to Allah. Because face of Allah, side of Allah, these are all metaphors. They are not real. There's no side of God. There's no sword of God. But if you pick up your sword for the sake of Allah, that becomes the sword of Allah, like Imam Ali Islam holding Zulfiqar. If you make yourself close to the poor people, you become close to Allah because you are close to where He wants you to be. So some people think that Wajhullah is a manifestation of a person doing what's their responsibility. Now, if Abdullah, you ask me the question, fine. But if the verse says all things are going to perish and only Allah's face is going to remain, which people are going to remain? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be successful at that time. I don't know who's not going to be destroyed at that time. I don't know. Only Allah knows. And by admitting that I don't know, maybe I can think more about this. But if I say to you, I'm going to be there, you're going to be there, the shop is going to be there, I don't know. And that would be a lie. And Imam Ali is saying, don't think that just because someone asks you a question, you've got to answer it. Because sometimes if you don't know and you don't say that, you'll be destroyed. Does that make sense, Abdullah?
Yeah, so would there be like understanding me, there would be like as you said, signs of Allah, like people who take their sadness and happiness to make it Allah's happiness and sadness. So at the end, like when it says this ayah, when it actually happens, so will that mean that a sign of Allah will remain and it will be seen by everyone who's still there? Because if there's one thing in the sky which remains from like the destruction of the world, it has to be so like magnificent and so powerful that everyone should be able to see it.
Exactly. And this is why some people believe that before Allah will create the final heaven, which is not exist yet, the ultimate heaven, he will first destroy everything else which exists now. And then when all of them are destroyed, in the place of this earth, he'll recreate a whole new heaven. Some ulama believe this. So what they say is Allah will first destroy that level of hell and that level of hell and that level of hell and that level of hell, and then he'll destroy the lowest level of heaven and the second lowest until he comes to the highest level of heaven, and he'll destroy the highest level of heaven, and then there'll just be the most amazing pious people who are left, who he does not destroy, but he destroys everything else, and then he recreates the same things, come back into existence in a new form, like akhirah, the world of the hereafter, which right now at this very moment there's this earth. There is not the heaven and the hell which people are going to be in forever and ever and ever. There's barzakh, which comes after this world, but we don't have the eternal afterlife. But the last thing before everything is destroyed remains. And that might be the Imam, something really amazing, something great. It might be some pious believers, it might be some sign of God. And that would be a sign of Allah, of God.
So like in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, it says, "We will create you in such a form that you do not know of." So would that mean at that time that you just mentioned, so that when it's on the day of judgment, and
Say
so
the
when
verse again, please, Abdullah. What's that verse of Quran?
it's worse in Surah Waqi'ah, which
Mhm.
I don't remember which ayah, sorry. It says, "We will create you in such a form that you do not know." So
Interesting. I don't know that verse. Not now because not time. But next book club, could you bring that verse so I can read it?
okay.
Thank you so much. Okay. But I think this point is made very well clear. Are there any questions about this? If anyone needs any questions right now before we move on, because I really want to move on. Okay. So Imam Ali is saying, don't abandon saying I don't know, because you'll be destroyed. All right. So put your hands down just so I know who's got a new hand raised up. If that's okay. I said Aman and Abdullah. That'll be very helpful for me in the next one. And if you're in the chat, same thing. Okay, next point. What can we learn from the opinion of an older person? If you're asking advice of someone who's older than you, what can we learn from what they have to say? Khadija, I saw your hand go straight up. What do you think we can learn from the advice of an older person?
It depends on what you've asked, but you can definitely learn a lot because they're obviously older than you, most likely, and they've lived, hopefully, they've lived a very long life, as well as the fact that they've got lots and lots of experience um, in the topic, maybe. I'm not sure what the topic might be, obviously, but if you've asked them, then it's obviously going to be for a specific reason.
Especially with something they've gone through or they've lived through, like they'll know they maybe they've already asked that same question that you've asked to someone, or they've already thought about it and they can give you their opinion. And because they've repeated think about it, they might have some understandings that it would take you a long time to get, and they're just saying it to you right now. I've just seen Inshal join. Inshal, assalamu alaikum, brother. I didn't see you join earlier. So salam and welcome to the book club, inshallah. And to everyone else who's here, if you've not raised your hand or you would like to raise your hand, please feel free and make a point, inshallah. There's a lot of you on here. About what we can learn, what you think we can learn by asking someone who's older than us. So please, even if you've not spoken, feel free, or you can use the chat to contribute something if you wish. Abdullah, go ahead. What do you think we can learn from the opinion of an older person?
What I can link this to the point that Masuma made, and she said, when you're older, and like I said no, but when you're older, you get you have more time and you get more knowledgeable about it. So that might mean that if you ask like maybe a scholar ulama, it's a question that no one else is able to answer,
Yeah.
and they answer it, what we can learn is that we need to respect older people, even if their opinions, even if they're like older and not like experienced, like not that well learned about that like topic that like you want. So we should like always learn to like respect it, and always like take it into consideration that even if they don't know much about this topic, they still might be right.
I agree, because even if it's not their expertise or something they've gone through, even if it's not, they might still have an approach that makes sense in their own way when they're looking at an issue they haven't thought about before. And we're trusting more, it's more about them and the way they look at things than the information itself. We're trusting them. So Ayatollah Khomeini, who's in the picture right there, maybe like I trust his mind because he's been through a lot. So if there was a new issue, which maybe he's not come across or anyone's not come across, I'd like to know what their approach is. And like you said, the very beautiful words, consider it. I'd like to add it to my consideration in what I think about that. Great point, Abdullah. Khadija, were you going to add anything?
Yes. So, as well as what I said earlier, if you're going to ask them about something current, like about current situations, then their opinions might be debated by other people because they might think something that some people might not agree with, and so sometimes, even though they obviously do have very good opinions in other things, we
Mhm.
need to be careful sometimes, I think, maybe.
Yeah. I fully agree with you, and I think Masma does too in saying that they can give you a different perspective because they're older and wiser on the subject you ask about. Exactly. Because to both of the dear sisters and everyone, maybe you don't even agree with them. Maybe they don't agree with each other. But when you're thinking about something, to get a variety of different opinions helps. So I know what, even if people disagree, I want to know why they disagree or why do they look at an issue differently. So now when it's my turn to think about it, I know a bit more about how people look at it and what different ways of looking at an issue are. And that's why it's not about hard work, it's about experience. Imam Ali says, I love the opinion of an old man more than the determination of a young man. So if you're a young man or woman, doesn't matter. But if you're a young person who's trying really hard, that's important. But the opinion of the older person, the Imam loves it more. And I think it might be for the reasons you've mentioned, because it represents a longer period of time. And in that time, their opinion might have wisdom in it. Whereas my hard work and I want to know, I want to research, I want to do my homework, I have all this energy, but maybe there are better ways of applying my energy. And that's why it's good to talk to experts and scholars and people who know about a particular topic. And that's why we like Nahjal Balagha, because Imam Ali alayhi salam has so much experience. I'd love to hear his view on something. For example, I would love to see how he would answer this question. Which relationship is more important? How we treat God, people, the world, or the next world? All are important. Allah and other people and this dunya and the akhirah, they're all very important things. But what is, in our opinion, the most important of all of them? What comes first if there's a list of priority? Masma, what do you think comes absolutely first in that list?
I think that it is God or people, either of them, because your belief in God is one of the most important things ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how exactly you treat the world that we're living in or the next world. I mean, I don't know how you treat the next world. It's obvious that you have to look after the environment and things. So I think that God, people, and animals, like all of them, like God is obviously more, but then like when it comes to people and the world, I think they're sort of equal.
Do you think
For
these
God,
things are linked? Do you think these things are connected at all? Animals, the world, Allah. Do you think our relationship to them is linked?
well, I think that the relationship with God is sort of connected to the relationship with people and animals. Because if you pray to God but you don't respect people and animals, then that's not very nice. Because I mean, if you just go and kill somebody and then afterwards just go and pray to Allah, then I mean, God won't like that at all.
Yeah.
No, I think that they're sort of related. But only in like, if you treat God in like very well, then people like I mean, I don't know how to describe it.
I
It's
know what you
just that
mean. I know what you mean. Like you will want to be different, won't you? Because you have God with you. Is that
um,
what you mean, right?
mm, yep. So I think that none of them are more important. I think that they all have the same value, to be honest,
Hmm.
in the eyes of Allah.
So they're all valuable, but we want to know which one's more important in terms of like what comes first or what should we give attention to. But I really appreciate your points. And I see hands raised by Abdullah, Khatija, and Amina. I want to first go to, oh, sorry, yeah, and Amina. I'm going to first go to Amina and then I'll go to the other two. And anyone else who'd like to add, you can come after them. Amina, what do you think?
I think first, building your relationship with God is most important, because I think that attributes that you're able to create with having a really strong relationship will help you in all areas with people and in this world, in the next world. So, for example, having the trust in Allah and being humble and being really patient will help you in all aspects, but you can best find that when you're having all these things in God.
Yeah. Ashal, I see that you've got to go. I will the task for next week, just before you go, is to think about why do bad things happen. Even if Allah sends prophets and Quran, why do people still do bad things? Why is there still bad things that happen in the world? I'll go through it in more detail at the end, but just so you know, that's the theme we're looking at for next week. I've seen in the chat you're leaving, okay? So even though God sends prophets and books and imams, people still do bad things. Why? That's what we're thinking about next week. Please come back with your thoughts. Have a good day, inshallah, and take care, my brother. Okay, thank you so much, Amina. You started with God, but like you said, these things, they do have a correlation. Okay, great point. Abdullah.
I think that everything is like related, but some are higher than the others. Like how we treat God is contrasting to how we treat people,
Mm-hmm.
because we could basically do something like we treat like the or the prophets wrong,
Yeah.
and they're basically like messengers of God.
Yeah, and we have to
Are
treat
supposed
them
to
right
like
as well.
lead you. So, and then like this world, you should like respect it
Mm-hmm.
because it's much better than, let's say, Mercury or Venus, because we can't like actually live on those planets because of the climates and other things like that.
Speaking of that, by the way, if you guys all look at the picture that I've got here, if you look in the ray of light in the right hand side, the furthest one, it's in the middle of the screen, but the furthest one to the right, in the middle of that, can you see a very small white dot? Can anyone
Yeah,
see it?
Yes.
I can see the dot. It's in like the middle-ish.
If you really stare in, that is the Earth, taken from a picture from the Hubble telescope super far away. And that pale blue dot contains in it this all of the worlds and animals that you know all exist in that small blue dot. And one day you weren't there, and one day you're there, and one day you're gone. Isn't that quite amazing when you look at the different planets that were being mentioned? That tiny blue, white, it's white, not blue, but that tiny white dot is everyone you'll ever meet, all in there. So if those things are important, if those things, and they are important, why are they important? I'm seeing a theme of all of you that we think that how we treat God is linked to how we act on this tiny white dot for the time that we're there. Khadija and Fazla left. So Khadija, what would you like to add?
I agree with Masuma that in a way I think they're all equal, since we came from Allah and we came to this world where we met all different people, and we should keep the people and of this world and the world itself in good condition to then give back to Allah, so that Allah is happy with us, and so we get a good place in the next world. But then again, I do think that we should treat Allah in the next world with very well, as our impression on Allah and our deeds will link very well to the next world, and we should be not we should be, but
Yeah,
if we're not careful, then we might do something bad, and we might upset Allah.
definitely. Yeah, we're not from here, and we're only here for a bit of time. And you're right. If we don't think about the other things in the right way, we might deal with them incorrectly. So that's why. And Fazil, if you wanted to add, you can put your hand back up. Mamadi says, if one sets right matters between himself and Allah, or themself and Allah, it's not just him, it's her as well, then Allah sets matters between them and other people. And if you set right the affairs in the next life, then Allah sets your affairs in the next world. So there's a priority. First, you deal with me and Allah, and then Allah, through that, helps you in your relations to other people, whether it's your family or your friends or your teachers, because you've worked on your link with God. That helps you in those interactions. And similarly, if you start focusing on the next life and akhirah and how I'm going to act, that helps you know what to do in this world, because you've got an aim in front of you. That way, you're getting all four. You're getting Allah, and you're getting people, you're getting the next life, and you're getting this life. But it's because you've thought of them in the right way. I've thought, if I aim for God, I know how to treat people. If I aim for the next life, I know what to do with this life. I know how to use my mind for it. Okay? Yeah, so that's Imam Ali's answer, and it helps us orient our thoughts a little bit. Super. Let's go to the next one because we haven't actually got that much time. We've actually overrun. I apologize for that. What should we do when our heart becomes tired? Quick answers. Sometimes, just like our body gets tired, our heart does get tired. We don't feel like praying. We don't feel always as loving as we are sometimes. And I don't want to be, sometimes it takes a lot of energy to love or to show your love to someone. It's very normal. Or to be in an open, caring way. I'm just not feeling, I don't have the right energy. What should we do when that happens and when your heart becomes tired? How should you act?
You should act by saying what's making you be sad or bad emotions that's making your heart become tired. So
Good.
if
Yeah.
like you have like stress of work and then too much work and you still have to do like namaz if you're baling or something,
Mm-hmm.
it might make your heart become tired and you might go to like a state of
Good.
depression.
So for Abdullah, it is
Become
look for
tired.
the origin. Look for the origin. Sorry to cut you off because I want to get the best part of the point. Look for the origin of what's upsetting you and find out what it is. Why are you tired? That does help. What else should you do when you're in that feeling? Masama?
Well, I just say, for a few moments, just think about what would be the benefits of doing something else and what would be the benefits of praying to Allah or doing whatever it is that the tiredness of your heart wants to stop you from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So think about the benefits of the action and whether or not you even need it right now. Because if you think that maybe I don't even have to do the act, you're getting so worried about something that wasn't even the case. Last point, Khatija, if anyone else wants to add, they can. But Khatija, what should you do when your heart becomes tired?
Well, in my opinion, I think that you should thank Allah and pray quite a bit because, well, to me, when a heart becomes tired, it sounds like maybe someone might be about to pass away or
Mm.
something similar. And so I think you should, again, thank Allah and make sure that all your sins are apologized for.
Nice point. Nice point. So think about if you're in a if you're struggling with something, take a step back. Now, if it's a wajib action that is obligatory, okay, I've got to do it. But sometimes if it's not a obligatory action and you've got other issues, it might not be the right, you might not even just maybe you shouldn't even do it sometimes because the Imam says the hearts get weary as bodies get weary. So look for beautiful, wise sayings for them to dispel their weariness. Look for something which is a wise saying which will give you the right kind of message. And everything that you're saying are wise sayings. So when you feel this way, look for advice of what to do. Look for wise sayings which will get rid of that feeling or help you deal with that feeling if you've got to bear it for some time until it will go away, because the heart is going to get tired just like the body gets tired. And like the body needs rest, sometimes the heart needs rest. Sometimes it's not good to always pray because you need to rest your heart so that you are ready again later to pray to Allah with good presence. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. And like the example Master was giving, that if it's about like watching TV, you think of the benefits and you can take a short nap for the heart. I like it. I'm a big fan of short naps. So a nap for the heart is an amazing idea. Let's go to the last point. Why should you never, ever lose hope? Now, if you've not yet contributed, feel free to think about this and you can raise your hand and talk. But in general, why should you never, ever, ever, ever lose hope? I see the same names as always. I see Abdullah and Masima, who have been guiding us through this journey. Let's go. Masima, you first. Why should you never, ever lose hope?
Well, sorry, I was just eating.
That's fine.
It comes with the idea of resilience. Like, you should never ever lose hope because, I mean, if you just want to participate in a tournament or something, and then in the middle of it, when you're losing, you just lose hope and think, oh, there's no point. Well, if you just don't do it at all, there's no point of you winning at all. If you lose hope and just make your life, I don't know, like you just smoke or something like that, then that will not help you at all. And then your afterlife will be sort of ruined. So you should always never lose hope and always believe in Allah, because the more you do that, then the less you'll the more belief you'll have in Allah, and then you'll never have the feeling of wanting to lose hope again.
But resilience is the word you used, and I really like this word. You keep going, and you keep turning to Allah. Great. Abdullah, why should you never ever lose hope, do you think? What advice would you give to your fellow friends in this book club?
So there's one reason I should never ever lose hope, because you can think, if you never ever lose hope in this world and you never stop believing in Allah, you're gonna have a really good afterlife compared to giving up in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Definitely. You should prioritize on what's important. And if you have an afterlife, that's what you hope for. Great point. Wesley, was that your hand raised on purpose or maybe by mistake because it went down again? Anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no one on this planet that hasn't gone through failure before success. You have to go through failure to reach your goal, and that only just makes you better. So even if you fail, you shouldn't lose hope from that. It's a good thing.
Because you need it. It's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you believe in the process, you're able to take the loss now because you know it transforms into a win later. This is what Imam Ali Islam says. He says, I wonder about the one who loses hope despite the possibility of seeking forgiveness. So even if you're losing hope because you've done something wrong and you think that, I've done it wrong now, I just can't do it. But you can always seek forgiveness. And Imam Ali says, I wonder at the one who loses hope despite having that possibility where you can, at any time you can turn back to God. Forgiveness doesn't just mean when you've done something wrong. It means when you want to be close to God. It means when you want to break down a barrier between you and God, which someone else might have put or has been put in a different way, not just by your own amal, your own actions. But like Masma says, mistakes aren't something to bring you down, they're lessons. So don't let them bring you down. Turn back to God. Say, God, I made a mistake, for example, or this mistake has happened, but I still want you. I still want to be better. I still want to be better at this thing. So help me. And Imam Ali Islam wonders at the one who doesn't do this because it's always available to you. Okay, great work, everyone. That is the end of this section. We have overrun. I want to thank all of you for the book club. The reason why we overrun is because in the beginning I spent a bit of longer talking to you, and it was because I was feeling a bit down and I wanted to have a chat with you guys. So I appreciate that you were able to talk to me and you were able to lift my spirits with your lovely feedback about your days and how it's going. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. Alhamdulillah. Now, well done today. Some great points about the sayings of Nahjal Balagha. Your mission for next week, should you choose to accept it, is what I mentioned to Ashal earlier, which is, if we've got a prophet, we've got Nahjal Balagha, we've got Quran, we've got Ahlul Bayt, we've got all these amazing things from God, why is there still bad things happening in the world? Why are people still doing bad things? Why, despite all of these blessings, and especially prophets God has sent, is there wrongdoing in the world? What is going wrong? Why aren't we all following the advice of God? Don't tell me now. Inshallah, tell me next week. And I will see you bright and early at 7:30 next Monday on the Nahjal Balagha Book Club. That's it. If there's any questions, you can ask them now super quickly. Otherwise, we will close.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz, take care. Thank you so much.
Khuda Hafiz.
Hopefully you find your master.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. Hopefully you find your master.
I'll go look for it now.
بولايتك يا علي يا علي يا علي